with the flow.
All right, guys, it's episode 70. This is the recap show for the California State Tournament. We got Brian Navarro, the voice of God, some people say,
No,
and
don't say that. That's just Al.
then Al Fontes, who is like the wrestling stats king for California wrestling, and I'm super glad to be able to talk about some California wrestling with both you guys.
Good. Let's
So
do it.
I kind of just want to get right into it. Al, you were coming from afar, really. You were kind of working on the Idaho State Tournament and also kind of watching the California State Tournament at the same time. I mean, what was that like trying to kind of balance both?
I was dizzy. I tell you, I'm tracking four boys divisions and one girls divisions, and the team races are really close in many of them. But at the same time, I'm looking at flow tracking the California one to see that, you got Buchanan, Poway, and Gilroy St. John Bosco just neck to neck. And I'm like, oh, and I'm getting texts left and right. I was in heaven, to be honest with you. It was great.
Was it easier to keep track in California because there's
Oh,
only
a
one division?
hundred times more. I got
There you
five
go.
divisions I got to write about. I'm doing a recap right now. Five divisions. It's a lot of work. California was easier, especially when you got guys like Michael Cho doing the rankings. He makes it easy
Stud.
for you. His data is, I have to say it, Michael Cho's data is the best rankings in the country, hands down. Nothing like it.
Do
And
you
he gets
feel
a
like
he gets a
go
lot of
ahead?
shout out online. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw Willie Saylor post there from Out Scouts, and he said that California was the best seeded tournament. Now they use his rankings a lot, and there's a small little seating committee that puts that together, and that dude's a master for sure.
Yep. He's
And
like
he's
he's
young, so he's gonna be around a while, hopefully.
let's hope. Let's hope.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get him on the podcast. I sent him a message on Facebook. I friend requested him. At some point, we got to get him on. I feel like he's kind of low key though.
Very low key because he was with us on the California Wrestlers. I've never met him in person. I've only talked to him on the phone a couple times. That's it. It's almost like he's a computer,
He's an
right?
AI
An
actually.
AI computer, right? Yeah, it's just phenomenal. But I mean, I had done rankings with Bill Grant for years, but he just takes it to another level. So very fortunate to have a guy like him.
Brian, you might be a little young for this, but Al, do you remember Juan's picks in Southern
Hmm.
section?
That's
And
right.
Juan was like a guy that was like a ghost. He was like some apparition. Like, hey, Juan's got these paper. We used to get this printout every kind of 2 weeks or so, and Juan's picks would rank the Southern section. And nobody ever met that guy. It was like, who's
Nope.
this guy? He's just some random guy who makes picks.
It's not his name's not even Juan. It's like some other name.
Well, it's
He's a
definitely
ghost.
Michael freaking Cho because he's that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's good. Mathematically, I mean his probabilities are very good.
And we saw that. We saw that kind of fight a little bit. I hate to use the word fight, but just an online argument. We'll get into the McDonald Cardi match, but he took the overall body of work, and you know McDonald had beat him times previous, and then he was 2-1, and then it played out in the cards, and they wrestled, and next thing you know, McDonald gets the win. So he takes all of that into effect.
I mean,
Mhm.
putting those guys as the two and the three, I think is pretty fair. I mean,
Sure.
McDonald, like you said, does have the body of work. Cardi does have the most recent head to head, but who is winning the series overall? I mean, that's McDonald, and I think it bringing Cardi up to the three, I think was the right call as well.
Totally agree.
I mean, and that guy, dude, Cardi's pretty tough. Like he's got some, he's super explosive, really from a lot of positions. And he beat our guy in the quarters, so kind of got to see firsthand that kind of wrestling. So
So I'll tell you, Brian, I mean, being in Idaho, there's some hammers in Idaho, as I said before, a lot of all Americans kid doing well. But in our state tournaments, because there's four divisions, the first and second guy are pretty good, but it's a separation between those. I'm looking at this California, I'm looking at all these placers. Every one of those kids in the top eight can be a state champion in a lot of states. That's the difference in this state tournament. It is loaded. It's always been great, but I'm just looking at the caliber. I'm watching the wrestling, and it's like watching Big Ten wrestling. It's incredible the talent some of these kids are wrestling at right now,
You know,
national
Ro-
level, world level.
I was lucky enough, obviously to have Robbie Smith on the call this year, and he gave a perspective a little bit about the mat wrestling. And California's had this stigma of not being able to wrestle on the mat and they're on their feet. But you've seen a massive change over the last probably 3 to 5 years where the mat wrestling happens. They want to compete at that college level.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get to wrestle year round a lot out here, and our national teams are always competitive, if not at the top two or three. And yeah, the competitive, you're talking about two guys, let's say placing sixth or seventh here at California can go out and win a bunch of state titles.
Mm-hmm.
The depth was insane. The fact that Clovis has 9 place winners and puts up 210, 211 points, and they took fifth.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting.
No, it's incredible. It's just the gap between person taking second and six is so close. And on any given day, they can beat each other. That's how close it is. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, what's it, 32s or 38s? I look at the Poway kid, I look at Jones, and Jones having a tough draw, and the fact that he loses to Cortez and then drops down, and it's him and Thunder Lewis to place. And so you got a 9 seed and a 6 seed kind of situation like that. And now you got a guy who's a state place winner from last year, doesn't place this year. Depth, tough, tough, tough.
Yeah, and when you look at the rankings, I looked at all the rankings. A vast majority of the kids in the top eight, I'd say 85 to 87% of top eight placed that were ranked there. But you had some outliers. I mean, you had the kid from Gregory Tarosian from Birmingham, the
Mm-hmm.
sophomore, 19th. So that means he was that outlier, but still that close in that gap. That's incredible. It's not
I mean, there were a
uncommon.
lot. No, I think for the boys, I think he was the only unseeded, right? I think that's what I keep hearing, and I saw that online too. For the girls, like I think it's very much a developing tournament, so I feel like you see that more where there's like some girl that hasn't wrestled a lot of people yet, but she gets put in the state tournament, just has a good day. And but I will say this, and kind of maybe flip it to the girls wrestling tournament a little bit. I feel like it's just getting better and better every single year. The fact that we with Lemus and the girl from Clovis West, Isabella Gonzalez.
Three.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean they both are 3 time state champs. But if you look at maybe the rest of the finals, I feels like there's less like quick or like dominant performances. I feel like half of the contested matches were close and they were competitive. And I think that is just a testament to the growing of California girls wrestling. And I think really again it just goes back to California wrestling growing. Period. There's a lot of really good wrestling and all across the state, and it's I don't know. I think this was probably one of the most competitive tournaments across the board for both boys and girls that at least I've seen.
You hit
Yeah,
the nail on the head. I mean, I know being on the broadcast over the last couple of years and having the girls' matches right next to the boys, we don't wait. And then the girls' matches are normally finished 2, sometimes maybe 3 weight classes before. This year it wasn't the case. I mean, they finished up right at the whistle of 150s of Zepeda's match. So the time frame was there. I think another massive factor is you're finally getting girls that wrestled in California who went off to college and did their thing. They're now coming back and leading teams. So you're getting that rotation of the girls that had wrestled in the state, gone out, advanced their career, advanced their knowledge and their technique, and then coming back and being able to coach that and bring that to the girls team. The girls coaches and the girls team are vastly growing quickly.
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think if you're a competitor, like you want that. Like we had a girl who wrestled at Menlo, that's a Frontier alum, and she came back and she's now the Frontier girls head coach. This was her first season. And, we had a state qualifier, and I think that's what you want. Like we don't want to just be competitive for the boys. We want to be competitive across the board. And when you see teams, especially like Buchanan's got some girls, and they were kind of in the hunt for a little bit. They won both boys and the girls for Central Section Masters, and I don't think that happens too often. And it's funny because I saw Buchanan post, so we're the first team to have boys and girls, championship titles at the Masters level. And then I'm scrolling through Instagram, I see Poway post the same thing, and it's good. It's just a testament. If you're one of the better teams in the area and you're a competitor, heck, if you can win both, win both.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look. Go ahead, Al. Let me look at
Oh,
something.
you were talking about growth. So when you look at the national level, I think since 22, girls wrestling's increased by 103%. And just like from in the last, I think in 1 year it went from like 32,000 to up to 60,000 girls. And that, we're talking the girls that registered and certified the following year. It's even in Idaho where I'm at, it's exponential. It went up 126% in a few years. So it's grown, it's taken on because we've watched how it grew in California and getting better. I'm seeing the same trends, and everyone else is talking about those trends. That next generation is coming up that's been coached by the girls that were there prior to, and it's great to see.
When Al, let me ask you this. So, like, Clovis East, they had three high state placers this year. I want to say off the top of my head, they might have scored like maybe like 80 points or 70 something
Mhm.
points.
84 and a half.
84 and a half. When in the boys' state history have we maybe had a similar kind of outcome like that?
With
Do you know
three
off the top of your head?
placers.
Yeah, three high placers and won it. It had to have been
Well,
like what,
I
like
think it was
80s?
Merced. I think it was Merced High School back in the 70s when the Cuestas brothers were there. I think they won it with three people. Andrew Hill, I think in 77 had about three placers back when it was a carry tournament, 24-man tournament bracket. I think because the record in the 1970s for the most placers in a 24-man bracket was Monte Vista High School, the first tournament. They
First
had
turn in 73.
five.
Yeah.
Yep. And
So
then
timeline wise, we're kind of similar then, right? I mean, for the girls, I mean, how many how
yes.
many girls say we haven't had that many? And then if you think back to where comparatively it was for the boys, it's kind of the same amount of time. Um, maybe
I
faster.
Yeah, it's about the same. It's growing faster because if you look at the 80s, Clovis West won it with seven placers. That was the record in 1983. And then in the 90s, Calvary had won it with seven. And then I think it was in 2002, Bakersfield had nine placers, and that was the record. Then the record was broken by Clovis and Buchanan in 15 and 16 with 10. And I think, wasn't it last year, Poway and Buchanan had 12 placers? That was the record. And
Yep.
now we got St. John Bosco with 13, which is and not even winning it.
And they finished fourth. And you know what's crazy? If Sahakian was healthy, man, they could have had 14
Yeah, you're talking
and they
what,
probably
Brian?
would have won it.
How many more points would a Sakian? Anywhere like
Well,
16 points, you think?
he
Well,
probably,
if
I
there's no
mean,
bonus along, I mean, he's going to get bonus along the way somewhere.
Yeah.
if
But
he's
if
if
he
he's
made the
banged up,
finals,
if
it
he's
would have
banged
been
up,
22 points
we
minimum.
were talking about this in the
Oh,
group
they
chat a
might have
little
won the
bit.
state tournament.
Oh
If
yeah.
he would have maybe won his quarterfinal and then pulled him out, that might have been enough to push them over the edge.
No,
Wow.
he would have had it. He would have had to win the semis to get those, 11 points somewhere
Yeah.
along the way to get there. But
Yeah.
you bring
Wow.
up that 1983. That's the year that stands out to me. Not that I remember it, but I remember that 10-year window. And you had talked about how Clovis West, if I'm not mistaken, I went back and looked at it. They scored roughly the same amount of points as Clovis East did this year for the girls'
Hmm.
side. I
Yeah.
think it was like 88 and a half points in
Hmm.
83. And if you look at that 10-year window, the boys starting in 73 and then moving to 83, the girls just started. I mean, we're around that 10-year, 12-year gap of where it's been really official get going. And now you're starting to see those points.
Yeah. And
It's a
one
long
of the
cry from three place winners.
exactly one of the caveats too in point scoring back in the day was a 24-man bracket, and it was a carry tournament. Meaning if you lost, I think they had to make the semifinals and win to get you. It's sort of like repertoires and freestyle and Greco, get you back in. So there's less probability. I mean, they were winning state tournaments with 44 points, 45 points. But in 83, it was an 8-man bracket. For the first time, they had sections. Then they went to a NorCal and SoCal was an 8-man bracket, and they realized that didn't work. So Clovis West scored a lot of points that year. They were a really good team. So, but compared to today, what is it, a 43-man bracket?
So
44,
40.
40-man bracket?
Hmm.
Yeah. And you got people in those out brackets. Technically, you can score up to what? 15, 20 points in the first. Well, they don't. If you get the
They
out
only
bracket,
count the advancement points.
So,
They
and
don't
that's
count the
that,
bonus points.
man, people got to understand that.
They told us that in the coaches meeting.
So, and you saw a couple of pictures being online. You saw the screenshot. Well, what happens is the person actually running the tournament. In this case, it was Natalie Hayes. All those points come out, and then that's the program. And then you take the points out. So they only get the advancement point. They only are getting that 1 point along the way. So, Buchanan didn't have 23 points. I think they had 6 or whatever it was. But yeah. Is it a luck of the draw? It is. I mean, you're a seeded wrestler. They find it, and then they just pull that formula, and whoever gets that, it's fair. It's fair as possible. I know that there was a beat writer, a newspaper writer that wrote an article a couple years ago about that. But it's been discussed and talked about, and I think CIF does a great job of taking away those bonus points in those rounds. It's just an advancement point.
Is there a way we can do it to where if you're like a top 16 guy, like you don't have to get that maybe out bracket, instead maybe maneuver it to somebody that, the lower tier guys?
That is way above my pay grade, and I know my role. So
All right.
I mean, I don't know that. I'm sure there is a way. I'm sure that has been brought up, but the less I know about that, the less I got to put in my
Well,
brain.
who does, so I'm going to go back and
Well, I'll reach out to those who I know, but yeah, well above my knowledge and my choice. I think that's going to come down to the tournament director and CIF and whoever runs that bracketing. Crazy
all
though,
right.
but it
Yeah.
is definitely not. They didn't get extra bonus points along the way.
so I have a question. Who would have ever thought last year they had 3 teams score over 200 points? This year you have 5 teams, top 5 teams between 211 and 247 and a half. I never would have thought that would ever happen.
Just
That is just,
the depth of programs, man.
yeah, I think
It's
they
insane.
scored a combined 1,167 points for the top 5 teams. That's
Well, and
incredible.
I think another thing that happens too, and Al, we were talking on the phone yesterday about this. What happens is with all those other teams that are outside the top 10, if you want to get in the top 15 or top 20, it takes less points.
Hmm.
Like I think we a few years ago we finished 15th as a team, and I think we had like maybe 56 points. And then I want to say we had like 40, maybe like 43 or 44 points, and we finished 16th. Right. And if we had, the same amount of points, we probably would have finished in the top 12. So I don't know if it's just maybe an outlier year, but I'm just thinking data. I'm like, man,
Yeah, no,
it
you're
doesn't
right.
take as many points now to get into the top 15. Which for a lot of, I mean, those are kind of your different benchmarks is top 20, top 15, top 10, top 5. So
Yeah, it's a
that benchmark
cluster.
for everybody else gets a little bit lower.
But
It's
Al
a
brought it up. You brought it up earlier. It's a valuable point. The brackets are a little bit bigger, so there's more opportunity to get some points.
mhm.
But I think the separation is the craziest thing. Like this is the closest. I know in our group chat, I had a team pulling away, but I said they'd blow everybody out by 30 points, and it didn't happen. And I think this is the closest. At least with the top 3 and now the top 5 that I've seen since '96.
What team was that again, Brian, that you said in the group chat?
I'm going to keep that to us, but I got plenty of friends out there. But let's just say that the team that I thought was going to blow people out, finished in the top 3. So
Mm.
yeah, I thought Buchanan would win by 30 points.
No, Brian.
Hey, I'm good. I put my money where my mouth is, and I got a big mouth for sure. But yeah, I thought Buchanan would win by 30.
Yeah.
But I didn't see Gilroy getting all 5. I
I
didn't
didn't
see,
see that either. I actually probably had one of the worst takes of all time. I said they would finish outside the top 5, which was I realized after we got off,
but
I'm
that
like,
was episode
dude, that was so
69, not
stupid.
70.
Yeah, it's hindsight bias, but I had said that before the tournament. I'm like, dude, that was so dumb. I don't know why I said that.
And for them to set the record, have 5 state champs, but the team race, just so close. I remember that '96 year where the top 3 teams were within 2 points. I'd have to go back. Calvary was about 102 and a half. Independence was 102, and then I think
James Logan.
Logan was
James?
100 and a half points. So those
And
top
Logan
3.
had a kid with penned his kid. He had him on his back, and if he would have pinned, they would have won it. But he stand up, said, "I won." That cost
Yeah.
him that. Yeah,
Before
that
the
would have
whistle
made the
blew?
difference.
Was that Abbas?
No,
Did
I know who it is in my head. I don't want to say the name. It was one of their kids, threw the kid to his back. He clearly could have pinned him, and if they would have pinned him, I think James Logan would have got the extra point to win it.
He didn't know?
He just got excited and jumped
He's like,
up,
"Oh,
and
I just thought I needed to win." And it's like, "No,
yeah,
dude, you needed the
Rosen,
pin."
I won it, and the coach Rosenthal was like, no, so
but that wasn't in the finals.
no, it was in the medal matches, I think, early on. So,
Yeah.
but what
Um,
what I what I find incredible when I look at the top five teams, of the top five teams, they've had 105 top five finishes combined. When you look at this year's tournament, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, Clovis North, Fountain Valley, Esperanza, Pittman, and Birmingham, they have a total of, let me see, total of top five finishes. See, 0. No, wait, 1. Fountain Valley is the only one in that group between has had it. I think that was in 23, I think. Fountain Valley, maybe.
cool. A couple years
Wow.
ago.
So there's a big gap between the top five and everyone else. So,
Well,
yeah.
they definitely separated this year for sure, and what a huge comeback from Gilroy to get all the way up there, and they were so close. I mean, if Zapata, we called it on the broadcast, if Zapata got bonus, if he teched and pinned, they would have jumped Poway. If he gets the major, they would have tied. So
Yeah, we were texting because I was kind of doing the math in my head. I'm like, dude, this might be like this could be Zapata's moment.
yeah,
And he got a quick takedown, I feel like right away, and Rabies was just tough. And then I think Raby maybe got in on like a reattack with a double. And dude, when he finished that, I was like, dude, like
kid.
Raby's legit. I just feel like Zapata, like once that happened, Zapata got the lead and just kind of like just shut it down. Like I'm not giving up anything else. I need to lock up the win. Kind of
Go
just do what
back
he
and
had to
look at
do.
his semis match. He was wrestling what Arias
Yeah.
of Buchanan,
Yeah.
and I mean he is so strong. He took a 2-on-1 wrist whip,
I
and
saw
he,
that.
oh my
That
gosh,
was pretty slick.
and just took him straight to the mat and circled behind. It was like that
That
dude's
was pretty savage.
strong. He's
Yes.
strong.
That's a great move for him. I think of another super strong guy is Adrian Reyes, dude, and he was doing that all day, especially like his freshman and sophomore year, that wrist tie whip.
Hmm.
But dude, I want to know, Raby, is he a junior or a senior?
I'd have to go back and look, but
Well, wait,
I think he's a junior.
150.
Hmm.
Raby from
150.
Anderson. Yeah.
And what kid are you talking about?
Raby from
Arias?
Anderson.
Oh, the
Raby.
Anderson kid? He's a
Yeah.
junior.
Dude.
He's
Somebody it was funny. We were joking in the group chat like Luke Smith better go get him right now. Like
yeah.
Cal State Bakersfield, go get him. He's under the radar. You
Yeah,
can
and you got
get
to
him.
commend Gilroy, 5 champions. That's the record. I think was it Bakersfield had 4 champions, 7 in the finals. I think it was in '02, but
Yep.
5 champions is incredible, and they took third.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it was close. I thought there's another controversy was the Elijah Cortez and the Jesse Grajeda match that went to ultimate tiebreaker. That kick out stalemate call. Like I know that's the call. It's supposed
I
to be a
screwed up.
stalemate. It's
I'm the
supposed to be a
first
stalemate
person.
at first. But the issue is though is if you look at how that position is being called in college, if I'm on top already and I drop down the ankle and the other person's trying to kick away, there should be a count and a stall. Like that's how stalling is called.
Again, I said the same thing on the call, and then I absolutely just remembered it. So I went up to the official, and the mechanics are flat out. I was wrong. Robbie was wrong on the call. The very first time in the ultimate tiebreakers got a different rule. That first drop down, immediate stalemate. Like it's a count of one stalemate.
Yeah.
And then the next time you're going to get your count of 4 or 5, and then you're going to get hit with the stall. So it's the proper mechanics. The referee got it right. I was wrong on the call, and so was Robbie. But that's going to eat me alive for a long time. I
Well,
literally was
how
just,
often does that happen though? Ultimate tiebreaker.
it's a good question. I mean, it's something that I vaguely remember in the back of my brain, but I had to get clarification. And as soon as I said it, I went up. And then, we had conversations with Brady at the end, and as soon as I was talking, I was like, "No, man, it shouldn't have been." And Brady said, "Nope, that's the call." So, and Brady was right. Absolutely, that's the mechanics of it.
Oh, this is a great tournament. Another thing that really impressed me, I've been watching for a long time, is Birmingham being in the top 10. First time the LA cities had a top 10 finish. But Jimmy
Jimmy
had
doing work.
Yeah,
three
Jimmy Terrace.
placers, one champion. I think that's the record in that section. I think they've accumulated 22 medals, but Birmingham to get 3 medals, I think that's the record. Maybe San Fernando had 2 one year, but that's just shows you the work he's been putting in that section.
And
He's a
that
gr-
match was great, man, for
yeah.
him to come back and avenge his loss.
Yeah.
And I know there was a little bit of the talk at the end to see if that was the points or whatever, but he walked over and then just threw, I think it was Jimmy, I can't remember who it was, but threw him in a lat drop and flexed. And Henry had an amazing tournament and a good win coming back and beating Ruiz.
So what's your thoughts on Esperanza? They've always had a good guy here and there, and they had 3 placers. I mean, that's the most they've had in one tournament at state, and they got some good guys. I mean, what's going? I mean, that team's really doing well.
Holidays know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian and Josh are phenomenal people. You
Hmm.
know, Josh and I were the same year. He beat me up too many times. I think I got a couple takedowns on him in the summer league back in the olden days, but they know what they're doing and they're putting together a great program.
Hmm.
And they're young, and their best guys aren't even here yet. I mean, their best guys are in
Oh,
the 7th and 8th grade,
wow.
and they're coming.
And they got
They might run Southern Section, them in Bosco for a while, because the Holiday boys, they know what they're doing and they're great coaches.
yeah, no, it's
Now
incredible.
they might want to change their breakfast routine coming into the semis because the
What'd you
first,
see?
yeah, the first
What'd
match,
you see?
well, Sammy Sanchez, in the
Change
semis,
their
he
breakfast routine?
well, Sammy needed a moment. He needed a moment and find a trash can, and then immediately the next match, Max Murillo comes up and right in the middle was just like, I need a trash can too, but that's just a workout. It's obviously it's a joke about their breakfast routine, but that Murillo match, there's some controversy there on the is it a 2 reversal, is it near fall? But man, what a round, what a semis, what a quarters, and what a finals.
I mean, Brian, you're right there. What I mean, favorite semis, favorite finals match that you saw?
Favorite semis two. Well, favorite quarters. So we'll start with the quarters. Ronnie Ramirez getting upset, and the way Ruiz
Were
set
you
it
wait,
up.
hold on, pause. Were you on the call for that one?
Yeah, I'm on the call for that. Yeah.
Okay, so explain. So Ramirez is down.
Uh-huh.
Okay, he's winning 6-2, I
He
think.
is, and in reality, it starts a little bit earlier. He kind of comes up to the stand up, and Ruiz sets the leg in, gets the potentially dangerous, and then it's the second time that happens. So now, Ramirez is coming up and getting the leg. Well, you kind of hear it on my call. I went back and watched it and listened to it. There's the stall call, and you see right off the whistle, boom, Ramirez kind of goes down and slows down. And then you see the official in the background, he hits him for the stalling. And in my version, when I saw it live and then I went back and looked at it, I think Ruiz knew exactly what he was doing. As soon as that stall call happened, he released, you kind of see his hips pop up. And whether I'm talking this into existence or not, but you saw his hips kind of release a little bit and the pressure comes off. And as soon as Ronnie starts to come up, like, I mean, he felt it. He hopped
His
side over, locked the cradle, and pulled it
He
through.
like left his feet
He
almost.
did.
Like he like raised his arm up to the heavens and then came down, dude.
He
And
did.
it was like perfectly timed because Ronnie Ramirez, like he rotated his knee up, but his head didn't quite come up. And as soon as his head come up, boom,
Now, I
dude,
didn't
that
get
was
it.
like one of the most epic
It was
things I've seen in my
insane.
life. Yeah.
2-time defending state champ just goes down. I never got a chance to talk to Tierpelli about that and if that's something that the coach in the room, but he's in top position, pressures forward, boom, the stall call happens. And again, I might be visualizing it myself, but when I saw it live, I thought that ultimately Ruiz took the pressure off and he's like, dude, I'm down. Here's my shot and I'm going to shoot it. And he shot it and he killed it. Like,
Yeah. He
and
said
just, he slayed the dragon.
and well, not only that, but like he beat Thunder Lewis
Hmm.
in the championship round 2. Then he beat Ronnie Ramirez, and then he beat Slater Hicks. When I saw that go down, because I was talking to Chance Rich, one of the coaches there at Valencia High
College
School,
roommate.
alongside Brian Peterson. Yeah, I'm in his former room right now. It's now the podcast room. But when I saw that clear, I'm like, dude, Slater like has a good path. But in my head, I'm like, dude, Paris has a lot of momentum right now. Like he's beaten two guys that are ranked ahead of him, seated ahead of him. Now he's got Slater. He beat Slater, but he's got a pretty tough guy now in the finals with Isaiah. But man, like heck of a tournament. Probably like one of my favorite, I think, like performances of this last weekend.
Hands down, the semis, the best semis that I saw, the most exciting was Rocha and
Oh yeah.
Borelli. And again, you saw it happen. He's like, I'm down. Borelli gets hit with a stall call and shoots the single leg. He's like, I'm not going to give up another point. I'm just going to take it on. And he hit a mixer straight over the top, took the single leg, kicked it through, and it was wild. And he gets the fall and
Yeah.
the emotion on Gabe Flores. I actually had a text message going back and forth at him today on, he's been struggling and that was a stressful match for sure. And he just came over and had the emotions came out and he gave Rocha such a big hug. And he was right by me. Like he's right behind me at the announcing table. And I threw him a water. And that was the most exciting semis match that I got to see and that I got to call right there. But it was awesome.
Yeah, 90s look tough. I mean, I'm looking at the kids in that weight, and I just want to throw another thing that stuck out to me. You got 5 of the 8 placers going on to Division 1 commits. You got where's Rocha's going to Purdue. You got Boosie, Cal Poly, Oklahoma, Van Ness, and Borelli's going to Stanford. Overall, I looked of all the placers, 39 of the 112 placers are committed to go to either division, most of them Division 1. We're talking Ivy League school, so that's 35% of the placers are committed to go to college. That's incredible.
I thought Vanis was going to Oklahoma for some reason.
Yes, he is, and I think Borelli's
Him and
going to
Mason
Stanford.
Navarros are going. Yeah, I think maybe
Catalano's going to West Point, I believe.
I think
So
you got Catalano's going to West Point. Is it? I've heard his name. So is it Busey? I want to say
Bussy.
Gary Busey. It's Bussy.
Yeah, Bussy.
Cal
So
Poly.
he's going Cal Poly. Yeah, and then Borelli's going to Stanford.
Now, is Rocha related to the Roaches that went to Lemoore? Do you know?
I don't
I don't
know.
know, but he moved around a little bit up there. I think he was at Buchanan and then he had to
Okay.
sit out all last year and then
Okay.
moved over to to Clovis North. But
Yeah, 'cause there was the Rocha family that wrestled for Lemoore that was doing really well about 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
it's like the Ruizes.
Yeah.
There's no relationship between Paris and Paul. Not even cousins or anything like that. Just the same name, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
Yeah. Didn't we have
sometimes you never really know though. Like we
Right.
had, I think we had like 3 shepherds in our team at different points, but they're all like we don't actually know each other. But then they did some digging, and they actually all are like distant cousins. So you
That's
never
awesome.
know, man. You never know.
23andMe, you never know who,
Yeah,
your
we could all
brothers
be
and
related.
sisters, right?
Yeah,
What was
Al
your
could be my dad.
How old are you? He's 60 this year, so yeah,
I'm
maybe.
29. Yeah, there you go.
Al, I'm
Brian could be
interested.
my dad too.
No. Well, yeah, my oldest daughter's 28, so
There you go.
right there with you.
There you go.
Al, how does your guys' bracketing work there? You
Uh,
mentioned that you got a couple divisions, but is it done through track?
yeah, it's on it's track wrestling. They use
Okay.
the track. There's 4 boys divisions. There's 16 man brackets and girls as well.
And is
State
it held in a large venue as well?
Yeah, I was at the Idaho State University. We had 16 mats on the floor. In the preliminary rounds, they separate. It's spread out on 16 mats. You got 2A over here, the 3A, 4A, 5A, and then girls. So the fans normally go where their kids are wrestling, and then they do the same thing, and they break it down for the medal matches where you have about, I think, 8 mats across. And I'm telling you, the whole weekend, I sent Brian a video. It's pretty packed and it's just it's pretty intense the whole weekend. It's pretty loud. Great fun, great competition. So
I definitely want to talk about the different divisions in a second, but while we're still talking about the finals, I think one of my favorite finals had to have been Rockland Zinkin versus Edwin Sierra for a
Amazing.
couple different reasons, right? So like this is kind of setting up. I think Buchanan just needs to win one of their finals. Poway needs to win both to give them the lead. So if Rockland wins, it seals it, right? And it's a head to head against Poway. Dude, Rockland from the get go, dude, just is like super aggressive. Basically, just tries to punk them, and to the point where like we're up in the booth, and some of our parents are like, I don't like the way he wrestles, right? And like a great parents we have, and I'm like, hey, as much as it's a game and a sport and an art, it's also a fight, and like he's wrestling that hard. Like for a reason, he's going out there to establish the tone of the match and to take over the match. And he knows, like, if I win this, like, I secure the team title. I'm also very impressed with Edwin Sierra because he did not back down, dude. Like, he is like, I'm getting right back up. I'm getting right back in your face. I'm not going to roll over. I'm going to keep looking for offense. But super impressed, honestly, with both of them, kind of for different reasons. But, dude, that was a big match for Rockland Zing to go out there and secure the team title for him.
I screwed that up because my math was wrong. We
Aren't
were
you a math teacher?
no, definitely not. The we were looking at obviously our computer and just hadn't updated from the previous match and so on and so forth. There's zero excuse. I just had there. I wish I would have remembered because as soon as the match ended, I was like, I got to do some math here. Yep, they secured the title.
It was 243 and a half, I think, before the
Yeah.
finals, and Power is at like 240, I think.
Mhm.
yeah,
And
and those
they could only get four there. Now, ironically, if Sierra wins that, there's that flip. And then another match that kind of stands out to me is the cousin. You look at Nakade and Toscano, 6 times. They wrestled six
But
times this year. In reality, seven, because I think they wrestled that Super 32 qualifier.
I feel like the match has gone almost the same, where like Zinkowin would get some kind of reattack, and then you see Toscano try to go big, and then would get put to his back.
Mm-hmm.
It happened like so many times, dude. Like it was so frustrating to watch.
Nakade's got such huge hips, and he can score from any position. It's
Yeah,
insane. I remember him as a sophomore wrestling in the duel against Buchanan, and he was I can't remember who he was wrestling Ray, and Ray had a 4-0 lead, and he comes out and Ray's not sitting on his lead and he's pushing forward, and Nakade hits a freaking sweet duck and then circles around, hits a right-handed headlock and takes the fall. And
that looked like one of the Altons, maybe in a Penn State duel. He goes duck and then switches to a head and arm.
he
Dude,
did.
that
He
like
ducked the left side and he circled to the left. And as soon as Ray popped his head out, he threw a headlock. And then, but you just saw him score from any position here this weekend. Toscano kind of cleared the hips, and here comes Nakade, and he helicopters over it and puts him to his back, and gets a couple points out of it. But wicked good finals.
guys, I'm looking next year. Um, St. John Bosco, of all the guys they placed, 11 are coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't count the incoming freshmen. I mean, Clovis has 6 coming back. I think Powboy has 6 coming back. I think Buchanan has 6. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I'd say St. John Bosco, boy, they had 13 this year. They can possibly have more. Oh my goodness.
And I think
it's
I'd
gonna be
have to go
pretty.
back and look. I think Esperanza's got
They have a lot. They have a lot
Yeah.
coming back
I
too.
think they
Yeah.
got like 7 coming back, or
Yeah. And I'm
I'd have to
talking
go back and look.
placers with this. 11 placers coming back.
Insane.
Holy, oh my
I think
goodness.
Esperanza is definitely a program of the future for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
they even the guys that didn't place, they have a lot of really talented freshmen. It's funny. I was talking to one of my buddies at Russ. Well, actually, I left right when he came in as Josh Brown, but he's helping out over there. And dude, he was running his mouth so much. But I was like he was trying to get us to like say that they wouldn't finish ahead of a couple other teams, but I'm like, dude, no, they're good. Like, like they're favored, but they also have a lot of young guys. So man, they're definitely a program moving forward. I think you got to make sure you keep your eyes on for sure. Speaking of talented freshmen, I got to shout out James Caruso, who was the 9 seed, ended up finishing 4th, and really, like, he doesn't do anything flashy. He just wrestles hard. And the first time I met him, this was we had taken a bunch of guys up to Red Wave to go work out during the club season. And he comes up to me and is like, I think he has maybe like 6th or 7th grade. I'm a big guy. I'm a little bit bigger than him. And he just looks at me. He's like, "Hey, you want to wrestle?" And I was like, "Sure, dude." So I wrestle him. And he goes up to Franciotti after, and it's the same thing. "Hey, you want to wrestle?" And then we're wrestling. And then he comes up to me after. He's like, "Hey, do you want to wrestle?" Dude, he was just trying to go back and forth with us, And again, he doesn't do anything flashy. He just wrestles hard. But man, dude, it was super cool to watch him wrestle because he gets a little bit chippy, sometimes. But I like that. I think that's super important. I think, as you're developing your skill, you got to be a little mean. You got to be a little bit assertive. So man, super, super impressed with how you wrestled as a freshman at a pretty competitive weight, 157. Dude, speaking of 157, Christopher Creason, my God, that semifinals match. I mean, he had lost 2 close ones to Bo Priest. And with the way the rules work, like, dude, he blew that match wide open, and Bo kind of had to force something and took him to his back again and get the tech. Man, were you on the call for that one, Brian?
No,
Or was
that was on the
Robbie?
opposite mat. That was Robbie Smith on the call for that one. But obviously, we have direct line of sight. Al, what we did was we had 3 people call in the quarterfinals, and then on the semifinals, we had 2 on the girls and 2 on the guys. So on each semis, and myself and Robbie Smith were on the semis for the boys, and then on the girls, a new addition, Mallory Velty and Orange Raymond switched over to the girls' side, and he's the lead for the girls now. But the mats are directly across from each other, and so I'm looking over there, and next thing you know, I was like, "Man, Bo is just teching him like he's." Nope. Wrong color. That was green. And it was an insane match. Insane.
No, Robbie Smith's a great kid. I've known him since he was a little kid. In fact, I
A
go
little
back.
kid? When was he a little kid?
He was a little kid. This is in the 1990s, mid 1990s. I'm at a freestyle Greco tournament in Modesto, and I knew his dad, and he came up to me. We were doing Greco, and he's like, "Hey, my son's team left. He wants to wrestle Greco. He's never done it. Can you coach him?" I said, "Sure." And he's just a little, kids level, maybe novice. And he went out there, and I showed him a few moves, what to do, and he went out and hammered. I mean, that Robbie wrestled like the full match without stopping. And I remember telling his dad, like, "Man, you got something here. This kid's got the fire. I mean, I can see it in his eyes. He may be an Olympian one day." And his dad's like, "I don't know." Well, the rest is
No
history.
way. No way. You
I
coached Robbie
swear.
Smith in his first Greco match and then said he's going to be an Olympian one
I
day,
says,
dude.
I says he
No
has the
way.
fire. I said he has the fire of someone that could be an Olympian. You can see it in his eyes. The kid he's ready to go out there. He just loves it.
Such a savant, Alphonse.
Al, we have to call you the prophet.
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
no, no,
You're
no!
the
I don't reach
prophet,
that.
dude.
No,
I'm
no.
gonna text Robbie right now and just tell
Text
him
him
that
right
Al
now.
coached
We're
his
gonna
first
Ask
call
his
you
match.
dad.
out, Al.
Ask
Get him
his
on the
dad.
phone.
It's all because of Al. That's
Oh
amazing.
no! He was just a fire plug. I'm like, man, this kid's got energy. He loves wrestling. And his dad's like, yeah, I don't know,
It's
So
just that depth of knowledge, I
yeah,
mean, the broadcast team, at least,
yeah.
again, shameless plug to K&D, but they're putting together a team for sure. And Oren has been such an awesome dude. He was announcing it before I came on, but and now they got a 2-time world medalist Mallory Velty on the call with them, and then Robbie, made world teams in the Olympic team. Their knowledge of wrestling is amazing.
Just
So
passion.
those of
Yeah,
you watching this podcast, go back and listen to us on the archives on Flow.
yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to be Matt side for the quarters and semis, and finals were just nuts, just
Oh
nuts.
my God. It just, Yeah, when you watch the shorts on Instagram and X and all that, you're just like, holy, it's just, I'm at awe at the level of wrestling. It's just
Well, if
incredible.
if next year your state tournament can be at a different day, you're coming out and we'll get you a seat right now. We'll get you a pass and
Yeah.
you can come sit with us for sure because you're the legend.
Where did I fly into Fresno?
No, Bakersfield.
Flying to
They,
Bakersfield.
Bakersfield's
Flying
got an
Bakersfield
airport.
from Boise
Al,
to
you can
Bakersfield.
sleep in my spare bedroom.
Okay. Yeah, I have to keep that in consideration. I fly
We're
to,
gonna get it.
yeah,
We're gonna get it done, Brian. We're gonna talk this into existence for sure.
Yes, we
yeah.
could do that.
Maybe I can go to the California one and monitor the Idaho one on.
Yeah, just flip it.
Perfect. Well, I'll bring a big TV and monitor, and we can do it the same way for sure.
The same way. No, that's great.
And then maybe
Make
we
this
could
work.
get Michael Cho somewhere and find him and put a disguise on him so he can sit next to you.
I know what he looks like, but he doesn't. He's not. He doesn't get out much. You know. You know what the 40th anniversary is this year? This February?
California
No,
wrestler.
Vision Quest. I was talking to Frank Jasper today. The guy played shoot. Friend of mine.
I'm gonna get him on, Al. Okay.
Okay, I was talking to him today.
We're
No,
gonna get him on.
he was at the California.
you said that a year ago.
Yeah,
Dude,
he
I've
was.
been busy.
Hey, brother, he
I'm
was
a
at the
busy
California
guy.
State Tournament. Frank was at the state tournament this year in California.
Man, we should have brought
He
him
didn't say
out.
hi to me.
Huh? He was looking for you.
Was he?
We got to go get a big log and have him kind of walk up the bleachers and just
Oh, he probably would do it. No, I was talking to him today. Yeah, 40 years since Vision Quest, and he was at the state tournament. So yeah, he was there meeting people and talking. He may even be at the NCAs. Yeah, incredible. 40
Yeah, I'm gonna
years.
ask him and be like, "Hey, Frank, you want to be on the podcast?" He's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
I do."
yeah.
And I keep walking, carrying that log.
Let me know. I got his number. I think it'd be great.
You gave me his number. I have his number too.
Yeah,
I do.
give him a call.
Yeah.
He's
All right.
game.
And
All
when
right.
is that? What date is the 40th anniversary?
It was February of this year. 40
Oh,
years.
yeah.
Vision
Dang it,
Quest.
we should
Hard to
have got him on
believe.
we should have got him on the anniversary.
Yeah, still. I mean, they're still promoting it a little bit. So,
We could wait for the 50th anniversary too.
oh shoot, we're all going to be too old for that one, bro.
It's great.
I'll
It's great to
be in my
see all
prime.
these big movies come out, though. I mean, obviously Foxcatcher a couple years ago, and Anthony's movie came out on Prime, Unstoppable, and
Yeah.
Vision Quest, and I don't know. Have you guys? I'm only 2 episodes in, but have you seen The Duel on Flow?
I
Mm-mm.
love it. I didn't think I was
Oh
gonna
yeah,
like
yes,
it.
I did.
I've only seen
didn't-
2, so don't spoil it.
Oh, I can spoil it. I mean, you know
I-
what happens.
Of course, but still, I mean,
I remember those days. I was in high school when that was happening. It was great, but we were looking at a magazine back then. No one had Iowa broadcasting back then. There was no, streaming back then. So
No. Well, you had to be there. And it's the same thing
Yeah.
like with information, period. Like it's funny hearing a story. It's before Jim Gibbons got the job. Him and Dan Gable are like they're going somewhere. I forgot what the context is, but like they rode in the same car together, and Gibbons is sitting behind Gable in the car, and he's asking him all these questions about how he runs his program and like all these things. And Jim Gibbons is like maybe 24 or something like that, 25, and he's about to apply for the Iowa State job. Gable had no idea he was going to apply for the job, so he's giving him all these trade secrets, thinking, "Yeah, he's a young guy, he's curious." But it's funny because after the duel and then during when they're talking about the documentary, it's like, if I would have known that you were going to go to Iowa State, I might have not said some of the things that I would have said in the car.
Oh no, that was
There's
great.
there's so many of these great wrestling stories that just need to be told. And I feel
Yeah.
like this is one of those stories, especially the next generation that, obviously wasn't alive to watch it. It's pretty cool. And I mean, that's kind of like, I think one of the things I like doing with this podcast is I like finding good wrestling stories, being able to talk about it with people.
We used to read about it in Amateur Wrestling News or Wrestling USA. That was our
Magazine.
only source of information.
well, now you not only have a live stream of the events, but everything's archived. So
Mhm.
you can go back and look at everything. I mean, before then you'd have to go to, the broadcast team, or, you'd have to
Mhm.
call whatever studio or news channel that broadcasts the, hey, do you got the video? You think you can get that out?
Mhm.
And then now it's all digital, we just, hey, we'll send you the file. It's not a big deal. We'll screen record it and send it. And these kids have access to unlimited, resources.
Yeah.
Brian, you guys had mentioned on the last podcast about your journaling and how, Sean was doing that journaling and stuff. And that's a, that's a cool option back in the day, but now everything's just, they just throw up their camera. Hey, this is exactly what I did. This is where my hand was, instead of being able to, oh man, where was I? Was my hand on the calf? Should I slid it down? And now these kids just have the access of the video recordings, and it's just making kids better.
Yeah. And remember back, was it 2013 or something when they said we're going to cancel wrestling in the Olympics? We had information. I mean, we had the internet. I mean, if this happened in the 70s, the word wouldn't have got out as quick. I mean, it was like a firestorm of people texting and going back and forth. I mean, we're real time. Everything's real time. Like I heard the sad news yesterday about Buzavar Saitiev, the 9-time world champion, dying at 49. I got to meet him over when I was in Russia. And it was like one of my favorite wrestlers. And it's like, whoa. I mean, I'm looking all over the internet and it is like everyone's talking about it. It's like nothing is hidden anymore. It's incredible how fast stuff flows.
And he was still wrestling too. Like he has I think a school or an academy over there. And there's a video of him like within the last like few months, even just,
Gray
wrestling with some
beard.
guy. Yeah. Gray
Yeah.
beard, still moving
No,
well.
no, he's well respected. When I was over there and I met him and I told people it was like he was like one of the biggest celebrities. It was like meeting Michael Jordan, something like that. Very well respected. It's sad. I mean, I don't know how he died. I mean, there's still speculation, but 49 is young. So wow, incredible.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to lose the heroes, or
Hmm.
the many people think he's one of the best freestyler wrestlers of
Oh,
all times.
hands down,
Yeah.
hands down. One of the best ever. It's
Hmm.
incredible. No, this is so 73 was the first state tournament. Would you say the last 5 years have been, I mean, there's always been great generations. It just seems like the competition in the last 5, 6 years has just exponentially gone up at that top tier. It's just incredible what's happening now with the state and some of the level. I mean, isn't there 4 California kids on the Dapper Dan and against the Pennsylvania team? I believe were picked.
Yeah.
That might be the most I think we've had in a while, maybe
That is the
ever.
most ever. I think one year we had
We had,
McIntosh and Hammond.
yeah, we had two last year with Abram Klein and Miguel Estrada.
Yeah,
We
definitely
were,
California's a top three state.
we
Top
were
three.
talking about it, and we were trying to add it up of the number one ranked kids in the country coming out of California. And it was Posada, it was Merrill, it was Sammy Sanchez, Zapata. So there was four. And then you had like twos, like I think Rockland was two, Islikian was either two or three. But this group of finalists and this group of kids might be one of the California's best ever, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler Ice was up there too. I think he was in the top two or three.
He can be a California guy. We'll count him.
Well, I mean, obviously he's a Colorado
Yeah.
dude
Yeah.
for, 3-time finalist, 2-time
Hmm.
champ, but then comes out here and just looking at that ranking, I think we had four.
Wow.
I was having a conversation with Nick Kindred about this, and they go back to the year, I think it was 96, that we had all these number one ranked kids in the country, with
Mark
like
Munoz is Guerrero.
Abbas,
No,
yeah,
Guerrero was in 95.
95. Uh-huh.
Terrapelli,
Hmm.
Munoz. That was a great. I mean, the holidays were the 90s were one of the prior to this 95, 96 time 97 was probably the one of the best because what's his name? Stephen Neal was coming out. He was fourth in California, but then he won junior nationals, made the Olympics. That was a great period, 90s for wrestling California.
Yeah, and to see our top two, our guys in the top two in the nation,
Wow.
it's a phenomenal time to be a California athlete. And you had mentioned it before. I think that's one thing that I've tried to do as best as I can on every broadcast is to show where these guys are going at the next level.
Yeah.
You'd mentioned all the colleges that they're going to, and even a situation where these guys are placing third and fourth, and they're going to NAIA schools, and whether it's Lindenwood or Doane or Menlo here, kids are going out and getting educations based off of their athletic ability.
Yeah, I would tell if I were to tell any kid in California, if you qualify for the California State tournament, with the exception maybe a few kids, I don't want to go that deep, you're good enough to wrestle in college, whether it's JUCO and up. I mean, if you're in the top 15, you're good enough to go D1. I mean, that's how good these kids are. Kids go 2-2 at state. I don't know if I can go to college. No, they're good enough because they would win many other states or place in the top two. Easy. I see it. So, I mean, the talent level just to make you got to go through three qualifiers a state, most of the section. I mean, I tell people in Idaho, what's it like? I'm like, well, our sections are 110 schools, maybe 400 in the southern. That's our whole state, 100 and something high schools. And that's just the difference, the population. It's incredible. If you can qualify to California State, you're good enough to go to college. I encourage more kids to try JUCO or NAIA or
And there's
And
D2, right?
and there's 4 divisions in Idaho.
Yeah, four divisions. We have a small school division. Got to realize some of these rural areas, they have 50 kids in the whole school. They're
Yeah.
very small areas. Whereas where I'm at in the Treasure Valley, you have like Meridian or Rocky, you got up to 1,800, so bigger populated area. But there's areas, very small schools.
But you were talking about like with all these different clubs that are coming out of Idaho now. Do
Mhm.
these smaller schools have access to that? Like, is it
Yeah.
drivable?
Chris Owens, who wrestled for Oklahoma State, he's an Idaho native. He runs the USA Idaho, and he conducts in the there's three regions, the northern up by Coeur d'Alene, then you got the Treasure Valley where I'm at near the Boise, then the eastern and central. They have clubs in all those areas, but Chris conducts these best on best where kids can come train. The best of best can train twice a week, right? And you got in a room you can have up to eight Fargo All-Americans. Then in Greco, you got Ivan Ivanov and Miko Gorgiev that run the Suplis in the Boise area, and they got world class coaches coming in there and kids training. So if you want to be good, you have access to all this the system and the training to do it. So
Let me ask you this, Alan. This might be some controversy. If you feel like I feel like you guys have a great event right now with when it comes to the divisions. I know that's been a conversation with Idaho. Do you feel like if you had the one division and these kids got to wrestle all together in one big tournament, do you feel like because they're now able to be exposed on this kind of platform at this kind of tournament, do you feel like that would benefit Idaho wrestling in that sense?
I think if we went to one division in Idaho, it would be like California, that you'd have the top five power teams that would win because the top five teams accumulated nearly 40% of the medals, right? I think it would hurt the smaller school rural areas. I think Idaho would be better with maybe two or three divisions, not four. Um, but no, I don't think it would benefit Idaho. I think it would hurt the smaller schools just because of the access, the amount
Yeah.
of kids who would go
I
get
mean,
to
I guess
state.
that's the question. Would you want, let's say, a 3A or 4A state champion as an individual?
Hmm.
Well, if they move up to the higher divisions, are they going to place? Would they be top eight?
We like Fruitland High School, they're a 4A. We have 6A, 5A, 4A. And then we have some small, we definitely have kids in the small division that would place in the big one. There are kids that would. Um, the 4A definitely have teams that would compete in the 6A. I mean, they're just as good depth wise. I mean, we have the 5A has teams, so definitely there are kids that would do it. But there's a lot of kids. If it was one division, you're only down limited to just one tournament. So a lot of kids that place in those divisions may not place in the bigger. It would be filtered out a lot more. So, but
Take the
yeah,
top two in each division and put them in a bracket and let them wrestle off the next week.
yeah, they talked about that, but I think a lot of kids would probably not do it. Um, no, the good thing is there's a lot of competition when you watch the kids wrestling in the small school and the 3A, 4A, 5, all that. They're all loving the tournament. Everyone's excited. You got good kids coming out of every division, but like you said, if you have one division, I mean, I'm looking at California. There's some teams they had kids placing this year for their school. Their school hasn't placed in 20 years, right? It's that hard. So it'd be harder to place at state for a lot of these schools. Yeah, it definitely would change the tempo.
I think on the other hand, though, you have this giant platform Like, I mean, to have the two mats in the middle, like one for the girls, one for the boys, and
Yeah.
then you have, I mean, I posted this video where it's just like the wave is going around,
Hmm.
and it's just like so many people are in there watching wrestling, and there's all these people that are walking around the arena. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just nothing like there's I think to kind of reset, like the highs are higher, and if you're not in the show, like you don't even get to participate in it.
I can tell
Um,
you in the Idaho State tournament with the four divisions plus the girls, when you go down on that floor, that energy from start to finish is throughout the whole weekend. Whereas in California, you see more of a crowd when it comes to the semis and the finals. Okay.
yeah.
So the energy, if you didn't know wrestling, you went into the Idaho State tournament, you would be like, wow, this is great. I mean, there's just a lot of good wrestling, a lot of people energized. It's competitive throughout. It's pretty energetic. It's pretty packed the whole tournament. So
Yeah,
just
we were pretty packed all year long, at least I
yeah,
thought, or at least all weekend long.
yeah,
Now that those first couple rounds, on Thursday, is
mhm,
always tough.
yeah.
But
Well, part of that too is if you lose, people leave because you don't have to wrestle until the next day.
yeah, and that's a situation. I mean, that's something that many people talked about where, let's say you have a 6 pounder or even a 100 pounder on the girls, and you're the
Mhm.
first match, and you come out and you lose. You got 24 hours before the next match.
You have a pigtail. You have a
Yeah,
pigtail, and you're a 100 pounder, 106 pounder.
yeah.
I mean that happened to us this year. I'm like, all right, dude. I mean, shoot, you can almost go to school. You can almost go to school and then come back.
Yeah,
Back
well, for
tomorrow.
for you, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the whistle blows at 9 o'clock, and next thing you know, you're done at 9:25, and
Okay. All
you,
right. We'll call. We'll get you excused for first period.
yep, go back to school.
The California State tournament's a gem. I mean, I tell you, there's nothing like it. I mean, it's like watching college. I mean, Big Ten. It's like it's just intense. Whereas where I'm at now, it's great wrestling. You're having fun. If you love wrestling, you're going to enjoy the competition. But when you got a number one and number three ranked kid in the country going in the quarters, my God, I mean, it's like watching the difference between watching the Big Ten and maybe a smaller collegiate division. It's different when you're watching Iowa and Penn State going compared to maybe a college out of that division. That's the difference between California and Idaho.
There's like the spectacle of it
Yeah.
is huge, and I'll even talk to people in my class. I'm like, hey, if you've never been to this, like, go check it out. And I think next year I might offer extra credit, because it's just like you come in, you see it, and you're like, what? Like, this is there's only four people wrestling down there, and there's all these people like going crazy for it. Like,
Oh,
it's wild. And I think just seeing it and feeling it, even if you don't even know the sport, like I feel like that's kind of how maybe if it's a good product, is if you go out and you don't know anything about it, but you feel it because if you just know sports, period, like that kind of feeling or that kind of emotion, that kind of passion that comes from the arena, it's filled with that energy and you feel it, and it's pretty
I
awesome.
mean, every sport's got their culmination, but
Yeah.
I even remember back in the Stockton days where they would open up those bleachers and everybody would
oh,
run
that was
down,
great. Wasn't
and
that
then,
great?
I mean, the only thing that was really kind of crazy was the bouncy balls, before the final.
Yeah. And
We've been
Sandy
able,
Stevens, don't throw those balls. You were talking about Tyler Ice. He came here from Colorado. Colorado's a tough state, and I think they have like 4 or 5 divisions, but he's a stud and he won it. In the past, you remember state champions from other states coming to California. A lot of them would take fifth or fourth or sixth. I mean, not too many out of state kids come in and win our state tournament. So that's
Well, not
that's
too many people are moving to California. Usually it's the other way around.
you're not wrong, 350,000 people leaving the state, but that's
No,
politics and and
yeah.
and and what's going on with the cost of living, but you're
Maybe we'll
not
just
wrong
do
now.
this. We'll just move. We'll just all the California people just go win Idaho state titles.
Hey, we already got Rich Bailey out here. He cut,
Yeah.
he's out here. You got a Roscoe out
His
here.
uh his boy's probably gonna wrestle at Nationals, right? For Lehigh.
He's going to wrestle in the EIWA, I believe, this coming weekend. I was just
Yeah.
talking to Rich. I think he's going out there for that one.
He's
Yeah.
he's nationally
Carter.
ranked right now. Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
cool.
top 30,
Carter,
I
yeah.
believe. Yeah, Carter's a tough kid. He's in a good program.
And
So,
we got a bunch of kids from California going outside of EIWA. I
yeah.
mean, that's a tough conference.
Oh my God, yeah. Look at all these West Point. You got kids. I mean, Creason's going to West Point. You got
Teammates.
Antonio's
Yeah,
going to
Yeah.
West
Carolina.
Point.
Yeah.
You got some kids going to Cornell. This is a solid group of kids. I mean, I'm looking at all these Big Ten and
Nebraska
Ivy
teammates.
League is not, the Ivies are not in the EIWA anymore. They have their own conference.
no, no.
Yeah.
Toscano's going to Cornell. Man, you got some. This is incredible.
And then you look at the other list of the uncommitted. You've got the sophomores and the freshmen and the juniors.
Oh,
I mean, even Merrill. Merrill's a junior. He's uncommitted and wherever he's going to go. But
yeah,
you look at guys like Carini, Sammy Sanchez. Where are those guys going? But you
yeah.
look up and down and it's Big Ten, EIWA, and then
Hmm.
California schools, whether it's ACC or Big 12. With the realignment.
Pac-12. Don't forget the Pac-12.
Oregon State.
No.
Yeah, you got a couple kids there.
Cal Poly, Cal State Bakersfield, Little Rock,
Well, I'm talking
Oregon
about the
State.
redistricting of, in the olden days, the Pac-12, but now whether it's the ACC or, yeah, Big 12.
This is an interesting scoop. So conference realignment's been a big thing.
You're dropping
There's
juice.
I don't think I'm not dropping juice. This is kind of just from what I've heard, and then I've asked people kind of what they hear. But I think Cal Baptist school wise is going to join the Big West Conference, and I think there's talks they're trying to get Utah Valley, I think, to join the Big West Conference. And if that happens, there's a chance you can pull in like Northern Colorado and some and North Dakota
Wyoming.
State. Those other and those other schools that used to be a part of that wrestling conference that existed a few years ago.
What about
Um,
Arizona State? They're in the Big 12
they're
too
in
now.
the Big 12. They're in the Big 12. But my point being is look who is already as a school in the Big West Conference. There is no Big West wrestling, but Cal Poly's in the Big West. CCB's in the Big West as a school. So if you have all these schools now that are in the Big West that have wrestling, I mean, Big West, if you're trying to make some moves right now, Pac-12, it's kind of on the decline. You can almost step up and form your own wrestling conference.
Mhm.
So I think there's some moves to be made. I'm not sure if it's necessarily good or bad. If I'm Northern Colorado or if I'm North Dakota State or South Dakota State, it might be beneficial to continue to have that Big 12 conference because of the TV rights, because you're having more possible allocations going into the conference tournament that are kind of maybe more up to grabs. Like if you go to a conference tournament and there's 5 allocations, well, hey, you just win a couple matches and you're going versus if you're in the Pac-12 and most of them are like one allocation. Maybe if you're lucky, there's three. I think not 197s has the most this year for Pac-12 at one for three. I don't know, but either way, I think as long as the shifting around, I think benefit. We need something to happen in California that's going to benefit California wrestling in the collegiate level, at least for Division One.
Mhm. No, this is good. This is good. Yeah, that'd be good to do that. Now Vanguard is going Division two, right? But they're in between. So it seems like our Division twos are growing a little bit because you got
Menlo, Menlo going
Menlo,
Division Two.
Vanguard or be moving up. You got Cal Poly Humboldt now, San Francisco State,
They
and
beat San Francisco State in a duel this year.
yeah, they got the Zaleski brothers coaching them.
Dude, how
Lenny,
epic is that? That's so awesome. Both
oh
those guys
yeah,
are coming together.
yeah.
They're, I don't know how much Jim's got left, but
He's given a lot to the
you're right.
sport.
But
Like
he starts programs,
Yeah.
obviously starting
Lenny,
C.
are you talking about Lenny or
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Jim?
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I think he was at CBU he's a program starter, and
Yeah.
Hmm.
CBU, UC Davis.
Humble's legit.
Hmm.
There was another one.
And they kept the old logo too.
Yeah. With the
Yeah,
the axe on the H.
and they got it dead center on their mat, and
Yeah.
it just looks good.
It's great to see.
I currently work with a guy, our athletic director, Anthony Califano, and he was a Humboldt wrestler, and so we got a couple of the new Humboldt hats kind of sitting in the
Mm.
office there, but yeah, I mean, wrestling is a sport no matter what level. We talked about JUCO earlier, but look at our JUCO coaches here in California. I mean, whether it's Rivera or Box or
Anthony
or or,
Box
or
won the coach of
Keesaw.
the year for think for JC, right?
Yeah, and Donnie Garriott, and you see a little bit of Chris McCarty helping out at Mount Sac, but
Probably one of the best hairs in the state.
Chris,
Yeah.
he shaved it. He shaved his head.
Did he?
Yeah, he's complete.
When?
He's a couple weeks ago. We saw him at Masters.
All right, never mind.
He
You,
had
you were
it.
number one. Now you go down.
Yeah, he's just starting all over again.
Yeah. Now
Hit the reset button.
this is good. This is good. I thank you for letting me come on this podcast. It's been great to talk wrestling. I love California wrestling. I'm in Idaho. I love it there too. But I mean, it's always great to talk this event. My God, it's a
The
gem.
the state finals this year was just, it blew my mind.
It's just
And
incredible.
we didn't even start it off by talking about Miguel's daughter. She came out and belted that national anthem. And Al, you missed that, but if you can go back and if you hop on Flow and watch the broadcast of the finals, she just crushes it. She smoked that
Really?
national anthem.
How, she's young too. How old is
She's
she?
like, I think she's 6 or 7.
Wow.
And
That's
just crushed it, and the whole crowd was involved, and it got everybody pumped. And then
Oh, that's great.
and then even the final match, I mean, when Zapata comes out and he's wrestling, but Raby gets the takedown, you're just like, oh my gosh, from start to finish. The state finals was legit enjoyable.
Legit.
And the girls' side, a couple 3-timers, and shoot, we talked about it a lot, but Gilroy getting 5, and St. John Bosco's getting 13. Just
13. I think that
ridiculous.
record's going to be broke again. Wow.
When
Well, it's next year.
14?
It can happen next year.
14
Yeah.
place winners.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
But can
I
you
re-
take
Somebody's gonna do
third
it.
instead of 5th?
I remember the first time a freshman won state. That was 1998. Palomino. It never happened. And after that happened, boom, next year, more and more. Then you got Vasquez saying, I'm going to beat you. And they meet in the final. He's going for his 4th. Vasquez is 3rd, and Vasquez beats him. Next year he wins it. It's just incredible. It just keeps getting better.
And then Cisneros comes, I mean, he was like 5 years after that, but then
12 seconds away.
Villarreal, he
Nico
had a different take on what was
And he
going on
barely
after
won
that
his
match.
preliminary matches. He almost lost that match to Mario Lopez. It was a controversial call. And
But
I think
we hadn't had a freshman win in a long time. I mean, the last one was Renteria, Maximo, and then now Sammy Sanchez does it. I mean, we had some beyond bonus, but obviously we've had a lot of freshmen in the finals over the last few years with, that came up short, whether it was Toscano or, Kikanu or Zinkin, something along those lines, but
you can't rest.
Freshman can do it. I remember when, Louis Bland, from Central Catholic, and came out as a freshman at a bigger weight, and you're like, this dude. And then a couple years ago, Merrill being in the finals as a freshman. Who was the kid he wrestled both the last 2 years? Platt.
Platt.
Yeah. So Platt beat him both as a freshman, sophomore. He had 2 bad knees, but freshman coming out just doing work. It's crazy.
Just incredible. Great tournament.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate both of you guys being on, and it's always fun to talk wrestling. Brian, Al, you guys got any final words before we head out?
Just want to wish you the best for the rest of the year. Thank you for letting me come on here. I always enjoy doing these podcasts and the opportunity. No, thank you. It's great talking to you guys. May have to get out there again.
Brian, we appreciate you always sending the request, and it's cool to do a state recap, and Al's got all the knowledge and the stats, and
the profit.
We're gonna do it. I'm gonna text Robbie Smith as soon as we get off of this and mention that match. But we got to get you out next year. You were such a huge influence on a lot of people here in California, and what you did with the forum and all that good stuff. We got to get you out next year, and you can monitor, Idaho from California. We'll put up a big monitor and we'll flip you. Brian
All the
says,
Idaho people are going to watch this and they're going to be like, no, you can't leave. You got to stay. But we can
no.
get like a bidding war going. There we go.
Well, see, yeah, maybe we'll get you a nice little hotel or a beautiful Airbnb up in Idaho because Brian's already offered his extra room for you to stay in, so you don't have to pay hotel fees down here.
All
I
right.
also have a Harry Potter suite in my house. No closet underneath the staircase.
When is the state tournament next year? Have they already scheduled it? Is it March?
Whatever that first weekend is. I'm sure I'd have to go back and look really quick, but I think it would be March 5th, 6th, and 7th. That would be my guess. But
Six.
it could be the 20. Nah, it can't be the
I have
26th, 27th, 28th. It's going to be March
I have 26th, 28th, I think.
for next year.
Yeah, 25, 26 winter sports calendar.
Maybe. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
So Thursday the 26th. So February 26th through the 28th.
Wow. All right. I have to keep that in mind.
Mark your calendar. Brian's going to pull out the pillow and the sheets and get them nice and
This is a
clean
good
for you.
setup. This is a good setup back here. I mean, there's, it's the closet. I call it my wife's second closet. So there's all of her stuff in there. But
Hey, I know we're trying to sign off, but Brian, isn't it just the coolest feeling to say my wife?
dude, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're married, and if you're not married, you don't know. Like,
Yeah,
it's
and you're
pretty
still
cool.
within that year, so it's still a honeymoon, brother.
People keep saying like, "Oh, well, you're just still in the year." It's like I don't think this is ever gonna. I mean, I obviously there's ups and downs and nothing's perfect, but like I think understanding that nothing's perfect and seeing each other for who we are and like still loving each other and like getting to do things together, like, dude, I love this. Like,
Preach
this
I've
it.
is
been together
awesome.
with my wife over 20 years. Great, great, great wife, my partner, my soulmate. I mean, we work together and she tolerates my wrestling, which is
Yeah, that's
huge.
important. Find somebody that tolerates your wrestling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she understands.
we travel a lot, especially in the sport, and we're gone weekends on times, and
Yeah,
you come home and they're there to wrap your arms around you, and
yeah,
it's awesome. Except
yep.
for I don't know about Brian, but my wife's not going to watch this, so maybe I can clip this and you can text it to me, and then I'll show it to her.
So I got a question for you guys. Who's going to take second at the NCAs?
Gosh, dude, we need to do a
It's
NCAA
Iowa.
preview show.
It's
Iowa,
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah. I mean, I'm
it's
gonna
Iowa.
cheat. I'm gonna
Oklahoma
look at.
State top 5 should be.
I think so. The question for me is can Minnesota squeak in there? And that's part of our group chat for sure. And
Yep,
obviously with Gable coming back, that's a decent chunk of points.
yep.
But
Big
They
points.
got a
Yeah.
really good team. They got McAnally.
I do.
Lombard is really tough. Cooper Flynn, the transfer from Virginia Tech. I mean, there's a lot of really good guys. Dude, I'm trying to load up the rankings right now, but that's all tough off the top of my head. But
Penn State's far and away, far and away.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they're probably going to keep doing that for a while. Like, I don't think anybody catches them. How are you going to catch them?
They keep getting decent recruiting now. I mean, you look and they don't have the best recruiting class according to paper this year,
It's
but
not even that, Brian. It's not. It's the development. They're
it's
getting good
100%.
recruits and they're developing them. Like,
Yeah.
They're relaxed. They're having fun. It's just like you look at Iowa, they're tense. I mean, it's like two different ways of looking at wrestling.
yeah, I mean, I kind of, I know some people that are involved in the program, and I think it's like it's less than that. But I think part of that is that has been like the history of Iowa wrestling is like you put on this tough face because it's almost like um this mental attack on the other person. Like, dude, I have to wrestle a guy in an Iowa singlet. He's going to be in really good shape and he's going to wrestle me hard. It's kind of like this
Mhm.
false front, not necessarily false front, but like there's a lot of hard work that goes behind it. And if you look at like Steve Mako, I mean, he was with Iowa and then transferred to Oklahoma State. He's like, dude, they're pretty much the same thing. They might put it together a little bit differently, but I think it's kind of what you said, Al. It's like people think that's how they wrestle. And I
Mhm.
think with the whole thing with Penn State is they think that's just like who they are. and that's more acceptable nowadays. It's like, oh, I mean, I don't have to like get in a fight right now. Like this is just a
Yeah.
game. I can be
Yeah.
relaxed. I can have fun, And I think that's what's attractive to all these kids. It's like, why go Iowa and grind where I can go to Penn State and have fun and win a national title?
They had
But
Ona on
they all
campus.
they all practice hard. Oh yeah. I don't think he goes to Penn State though.
I don't know. I mean, there's all these rumors, but I mean, I know Oklahoma State has a wrestler from Japan.
Yeah, Sakamoto, Nin
Yeah.
Saki.
Sakamoto.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
his
there's
first folk style match, his first collegiate match is in Carver
In
Hawkeye
Carver.
thrown out in the
against a returning national finalist. Like,
Yep.
Al,
all
have you
right,
been there? Brian, have you been to Carver?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
no,
It's
I need to make it. I
intense.
need to make a trip at some
Oh,
point.
We were there
it's
for the NCAAs, and
I was there in '01, right?
just
2001.
chills. The moment you walk in, because you walk in at the top, Brian, you walk in at the top, and then you just dive down,
Dive down.
and it's crazy.
And
And
Dan Gable walks around. He meets people. We ran right into him when we were going to Hawkeye. This is 2001.
yeah,
I think that's
um,
when Abbas and Munoz and Terapelli won it
it was
that year.
Kale's third.
I think he wrestled
Over
DC that
Cormier.
He
day.
did. Yeah, I
He
was
wrestled
there.
DC. Yeah, DC. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a great tournament.
and it snowed.
It snowed. Then it
This
got, yeah.
I've told the story before on here. We walk in and everything's fine. We walk out and there's 3 feet of snow, and you're
3
like,
feet
what
of
the
snow.
heck?
Yeah.
And then nobody could drive anywhere. The roads were closed.
Remember that? We
So
had to dig our car out of the parking
we
lot. We couldn't
did.
find
And then
it.
all of us walked down and we're sitting there. We're like, there's a Domino's over there. Okay, I guess we're going to Domino's for dinner.
Yeah.
And we walk over, and sure enough, you look in the corner and there's J Rob. What's up,
Yeah.
guys?
What's
You
up,
want to share a
man?
pizza? And you're just like, that's
Right.
J Rob offering pizza to us, guy. Yep, let's go. But
Let's go.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's such a cool person.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
like
when
one of the
what was
coolest
the story
people.
that you said? If his name's on the shorts, he can wear whatever.
Yeah.
No, this was it was me and oh man, why am I blanking on his name? He wrestled for North Dakota State. He's coaching now in Minnesota, I
Obi?
think. No. He wrestled at North Dakota State. I'll think of it probably like in like 30 minutes. Michael Otomo. And
That was 10 seconds.
yeah, it's funny, dude. As soon as I stop trying to think about it, I think about it. Dude, so Otomo, we kind of had some mutual friends, and he had done the camp last year and basically just came up to visit and hang out. So he was only there for the night, and it was my off night. So I was like, hey, do you want to go like get a drink and go get some food? So we went to this place called I think it was called Bros, and this was in they had moved the 28-day camp to a school in Wisconsin. So we went downtown and we were, on our way out, like we're getting all dressed up, like we got like our dad shirts on and the shorts and like the ankle socks. And, we're getting, dressed up. And on the way out, I'm like, hey, we should ask Jay, like if he wants to go out, like not like, that he's going to be, go, but like who asked Jay out, like we knocked and he has his reading glasses on and he's like doing paperwork and stuff. I'm like, hey, Jay, like we're going to go out. Like, you want to come hang out with us? He goes, where are you guys going? And like we told him, and he's like, yeah, I might do that. And we don't expect him to go. And sure enough, maybe we're there for like 30 minutes and, we're eating some junk food and stuff. And we see him walk in and he's got the same outfit on. He was wearing at camp with the J-Rob Wrestling staff shorts and the shirt and the hat. He kind of walks in, his one arm's not really working. He kind of hobbles in. He like starts looking for us. I'm like, Jay, we're over here. And he sits down. I'm like, Jay, man, like, you could have dressed up a little bit. And he just looks at me. He's like, well, when your name's on the shirt, you can wear whatever you want. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Jay's a San Diego wrestler, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
San Diego.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, man. This is good. This is good.
It's past Al's bedtime.
I know it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
it's 9 o'clock
it's
here in
dinner
Idaho.
Well, Brian, thanks so much for always having us on, man. What an amazing season and what a great run at the state tournament.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I agree.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
brothers. See you guys later.
Talk to you later. Okay. Bye-bye.